and was given 3 60-year prison sentences.
A Harris County deputy in stable condition after he was shot during a traffic stop Wednesday night.
And a Texas woman is accused of making threats to the judge overseeing Donald Trump's federal election interference case.
Lots of activity in the tropics, 3 areas that could develop down south, and then of course the one that's going to be coming in over the early part of next week. This could bring us a best chance for rain in quite some time. We'll have all the details coming up.
And the athlete of the week is a world champion. We hear from her in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 10. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker.
And I'm Karina Garcia.
New at 10 after being sentenced to life in prison on July 28th for shooting a 25-year-old Victoria woman. 34-year-old Emilio Miguel Macedo pleaded guilty Thursday afternoon to 3 counts of murder. Macedo pled guilty for the shooting deaths of Sylvester Hernandez Jr., Thomas Jones, and Marty Jacob on November 8, 2021 in Mission Valley. In exchange for his guilty pleas, Macedo was sentenced to 3 60-year prison sentences and waived all rights to appeal. These sentences are added to the life sentence he got in July.
2 officers were shot during a manhunt Thursday for the gunman wanted in the shooting of a sheriff's deputy in northeast Harris County on Wednesday. KTRK reports authorities identified the suspect accused of shooting the deputy as 34-year-old Tyran Green. The 2 officers shot taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries and are stable. The deputy involved, 29-year-old Joseph Anderson, had surgery and is now reportedly in stable condition.
Services for a 3-year-old migrant girl who died last week while on a bus from Texas to Chicago were held today in northern Indiana. The girl died while on a chartered bus to Illinois as part of Governor Greg Abbott's program to send incoming migrants to sanctuary cities. An autopsy was inconclusive as to her cause of death. Authorities say the girl and her parents traveled from Columbia in May. The Illinois Welcoming Center, a partially state-funded program, will cover the girl's burial cost.
Most of the controversial buoys put in the Rio Grande under Governor Greg Abbott's border initiative were put in Mexican territory. A federal court filing included a survey from the International Boundary and Water Commission. It found that about 80% of the buoys are in Mexican territory. The Department of Justice filed a suit against Texas last month demanding the removal of the border barriers. An injunction hearing set for August 22nd in Austin.
ERCOT asked Texans to voluntarily reduce electricity use today. ERCOT said this was due to extreme temperatures, forecasted high demand, and lower reserves. This voluntary conservation notice was in effect until 8 o'clock tonight. ERCOT said that it's not an emergency operations, but the request asked for all government agencies to find ways to reduce energy use at their facilities. ERCOT's weather watch is in place through Friday, and even with this request, a new record, one-day record for electric usage, according to ERCOT, set at 5:10 this afternoon, 84,951 megawatts.
And that's the new record?
That is a new record. Wow. Set while you were on the air with James Munoz and 25 News now at 5. And let's take a first look at your forecast with First Warning Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Pettis. And of course, Mac, you were on the air too at 5. I'm not blaming you for this, but I'm just stating where you were.
Maybe we should dim some of the lights. I don't know. Let's do that. That's what we have to do because, as Don was mentioning, we were 1 million watts shy of running out. So that we need to all cooperate to sort of lower our demand. In the Atlantic, we have 1, 2, 3 systems that could develop. And then, of course, the one that's going to develop in the Gulf will be a tropical depression that's going to bring some rain to your house next week. We'll talk more about that coming up in a moment.
Mac, thank you. The National Weather Service issues excessive heat warnings for 3 area counties. DeWitt, Lavaca, and Wharton counties under excessive heat warnings from noon until 9 o'clock Friday night. The National Weather Service says temperatures up to 110 degrees are expected. Governor Abbott and TxDOT announced Thursday a new $142 billion investment to improve the state's transportation infrastructure. Victoria County will get $87 million for 4 highway projects, while Wharton County is getting $251 million for 2 projects. A Jackson County project will get $13 million as part of this new TxDOT plan. Summer heat and increasing water use may have contributed to this big water main break in Fort Worth. The break occurred right next to the Cook Children's Medical Center's Child Studies Center, filling the medical center's parking lot with water. The exact cause of the break still under investigation, but a spokesperson for the Fort Worth Water Department said contributing factors to water main breaks generally related to cast iron pipes cracking when the very dry ground around them shifts.
So the heat doesn't cause water main breaks. What the heat and dry conditions cause are higher water usage. And then what the heat and dry conditions cause or the ground to dry out, it to constrict and then move. And so indirectly, it's the heat. Directly, it's not the heat.
Workers in that area say they hope to have the break repaired by tomorrow morning.
A Texas woman charged with threatening to kill the judge overseeing Donald Trump's federal election interference case in Washington, D.C., Abigail Jo Shry, accused of calling the chambers of Judge Tanya Chutkan on August 5th. She is accused of leaving a voicemail message threatening to kill anyone who went after Trump. The complaint says Shry admitted to federal agents she made the call but had no plans to travel to D.C. or Houston to carry out anything she said. She's being held in detention pending trial. Supposed names, photos, and addresses of grand jurors in the Trump election subversion case in Georgia now circulating on the internet. The Fulton County grand jury voted this week to indict former President Trump and 18 co-defendants. Experts say some anonymous users are calling for violence against the jurors. The names being circulated on far right-wing sites appear to match the names of at least 13 of the 26 grand jurors serving on the panel.
These folks are going to be on screen every day. Everyone is going to know who they are. Their lives are going to be turned upside down. And so just to be able to sit a jury of people who would be even willing to put, their lives on the line is going to be really, really difficult. So it's something that we all need to be thinking about. I know that the DA's office is, but it is, it's serious.
It's not clear if those are the actual grand jurors or just people with the same names. Some of the addresses appear to be wrong. The Texas A&M University system has pledged to freeze tuition for in-state undergraduates for the next 2 years. The Houston Chronicle reports this includes a freeze on mandatory academic fees to the benefit of those students at the system's 11 universities. The estimated tuition and fees are over $11,000 for resident undergraduate students.
An historic hotel in Palache is still at risk of being demolished. The Luther Hotel was sold to the Ed Reichel Foundation, which has plans to demolish the hotel. The hotel is at the center of a legal battle to save the hotel from being demolished. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. there will be motions before the court. It will be live streamed on YouTube via Judge Polly Spencer's YouTube channel. The co-chair of the Palaches Preservation Association says she hopes the Luther can still be saved.
It's really exciting at the moment that there could be some real changes that will make a real difference in saving the hotel and doing what's right for the heirs and for the town. And if you haven't signed the petition on GoFundMe, go do that.
Heirs to the Luther Hotel signaled they would like to change from independent administrators to dependent, which Gower is in favor of because then the judge could give recommendations to this ongoing litigation. There have also been motions put forward to reinstate the insurance on the Luther Hotel, as well as to put fans inside the hotel to help preserve the hotel in this summer heat. To watch tomorrow's hearing, come to our website, crossroadstoday.com, for the link.
5 of the Victoria Police Department's finest were recognized this morning for their hard work and dedication. A total of 5 officers were promoted to new positions within the department. These include Captain Elaine Moya to Deputy Chief, Lieutenant Jason Turner to Captain, Sergeant William Bernard to Lieutenant, Acting Sergeant Adam Banda to Sergeant, and Senior Police Officer Frank Reyes to Sergeant.
I'm honored to serve the men and women of this great department in this new role. Together, we will continue to work hard to protect our community and build relationships in a place I grew up in.
Victoria Police Chief Chuck Young says the police officers promoted today represent a total of 80 years of law enforcement experience combined. We had an Amber Alert this morning. Reports say the child was found safely. So in today's viewer poll, we want to know, do you pay close attention to Amber Alerts? Yes or no? According to these results tonight, 37% say yes and 63% say no. Thank you for voting tonight. Visit us tomorrow for our latest viewer poll.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button, click that notification bell, then you can see Crossroads Today on YouTube. Stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. A Mississippi judge has declared a mistrial in the case of 2 men charged with attempted murder for shooting at a black FedEx driver.
Also ahead, Apple and Facebook have settled in class action lawsuits, and millions of customers could soon be getting a check. Trial was called in the case of 2 white men accused of shooting a black Mississippi FedEx driver. Father and son defendants Greg and Brandon Case were charged with the attempted murder of Demetrio Gibson. The judge called the mistrial today after a key witness violated multiple roles in his testimony. After the ruling, Gibson's mother was removed from the courtroom for a shocked outburst. Gibson's attorneys say they are requesting the DOJ open a potential obstruction of justice investigation. Some people struggling with depression or anxiety may try to cope by intentionally hurting themselves.
But there are ways to step in if you suspect that behavior is a loved one.
Self-harm happens when people hurt themselves intentionally, also called non-suicidal self-injury. While there is no clear cause, there are many things you can do to help if you think your child or loved one is engaging in self-harm, according to the American Academy of Pediatrics. First, don't be afraid to have the conversation. Ask your child if they are engaging in self-harm and provide them with love and concern, even if they react defensively. Next, turn to professional help. Trust your pediatrician, allow them to talk privately with your child, and have them help your family create a safety plan. Make your home a safe environment by removing hazards such as knives, razors, medications, and firearms. And lastly, prioritize your family's mental health and promote self-care. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide or self-harm, free confidential help is available 24/7. Call or text the National Lifeline at 988. With this Medical Minute, I'm Em Nguyen, ABC News.
As schools across the country reopen for the fall and Americans face the latter half of the calendar year, the CDC says COVID-19 hospitalizations have started climbing since early July. The Chicago Department of Public Health has seen roughly 72 cases per day within the last week. That's a 4% hike from the week before. Health leaders are advising people to be cautious and fully vaccinated. Less than 33% of the U.S. is fully vaccinated in all states except Maine, Massachusetts, and Vermont. Two major settlements announced from tech giants Apple and Facebook after they settled their class action lawsuits.
Now millions of customers could soon be getting a check.
Payday for millions of people could soon be coming, with both Apple and Facebook settling class action lawsuits. The checks won't be big, but many consumers could see some extra cash. Apple agreeing to pay up to $500 million. The company accused of purposely slowing down older phones during upgrades. Apple denying any wrongdoing, saying it has never intentionally shortened the life of any product or degraded the user experience to drive customer upgrades. Still, lawyers say the money should be sent out soon, but only if you signed up about 3 years ago.
Lawyers are saying that because over 3 million people did file a claim before the deadline, you could be looking at between $65 and $90 per person. Fewer claims generally mean larger payouts for each claimant.
When it comes to Facebook, you can still sign up to get paid. Parent company Meta paying out $725 million to settle claims that allowed third parties to gain access to users' personal data. Meta also denies any wrongdoing, but anyone who had a Facebook account between May 24, 2007 and December 22, 2022 can file a claim.
After they pay it all out, you could get anywhere from $10 to $30. But I look at it this way, it's money you wouldn't have had otherwise. It's found money.
In order to be a part of the Facebook class action lawsuit, you have to sign up by next Friday, August 25th. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
The Texas Tribune has a story about state regulators moving forward to allow more discharge of oil field wastewater from conventional drilling and fracking into bodies of water before a thorough risk assessment is completed. Find us on Twitter and check Crossroads Today for this story.
Well, good evening, everyone. It's 84 degrees at this hour of the night. It was another scorcher, another record, as a matter of fact. We tied the old record of 105 right at about 3 o'clock. You probably felt it. Of course, tomorrow's another hot one, but I'm still optimistic that next week may be different. We'll be talking about that coming up after this. Well, good evening, everybody. It was another scorcher today, and now let's talk about the records that we're getting at. Now, the 100-degree days in a year, okay? We had 2011, we had 58 days. That's going to be a tough one to beat. But today we got 34 days, and so 2023 goes down as the number 5 year for 100-degree days. I believe we're going to end up in either second or third place by the time August is over and September is gone. But here's the scorcher all over the state, and of course you can imagine everybody's trying to stay cool. Problem is, as we all use electricity, we need to, you know, close the curtains, use the heavy blackout curtains, keep the lights off, just live quietly, and as long as you stay cool, that's important, because we've got another hot one coming up for tomorrow, and we're all in the same boat. In addition to the heat, which we've been talking about all month, we are currently in a drought. As you can see, the drought monitor comes out every Thursday, and today we can see the 1/3 of Victoria County is under extreme drought. In fact, so is part of Aransas, all of Calhoun, and all the way up to Bay City. Now, the worst problem is the exceptional drought is in the hill country. Why is that worse? Because that's where all of our rivers start. The Guadalupe starts up there, the Colorado, the Frio, the Nueces, everything starts in the hill country and then rolls down into our area. So that's also a major concern. So here's my optimistic look at the world, all right? The dome is on top of us right now. That is why it's so hot. It is forecast to start moving to the north. In fact, it's going to be over St. Louis by the time we get to Sunday and Monday. St. Louis, big heat wave, the one we had. But now that's far enough away to allow an area of low pressure to develop in the Gulf, develop possibly a tropical depression. Don't worry about a storm, but this will be the best chance we've had in a long time to get some significant rain around here. I'm not saying it's a big deluge. I'm just saying that we'll have scattered showers and thunder showers around here Tuesday and Wednesday and maybe even Thursday. So that's going to be good for us for the next couple of days. I mean, for next week. Now, for the weekend, it's just, again, hot. Now, try to look at how much rain are we going to get, and it's kind of hard because it's a bit far out, but as you can see, we're going into Monday, Tuesday. In Tuesday, we were already looking at 1/2 inch and 1/4 in our area, so I'm optimistic by the time we get Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we may see 1/2 inch to 1 inch in many spots. As I mentioned, 3 areas have now potential for development of tropical cyclones. These would be hurricanes, okay? So we're watching them carefully. It's about 7 days away on that. This is the one of the area, because remember, high pressure went north. That allows low pressure to develop. This is going to be spinning around here, something like this, broadly, and then drifting westward into our region. So that's the Atlantic. Now, in the Pacific, things are really weird. We have Hurricane Hilary, a major hurricane, Category 4, right about there off the coast of Baja. It will weaken down to a tropical storm, but it will bring tremendous rainfall to where? California and Arizona, of all places. Tomorrow in La Vaca, 97 the high. Tomorrow in Cuero, we're getting up to 104. It's still going to be hot for the weekend, but then by Sunday we start seeing more clouds on Monday, and hopefully keep your fingers crossed that we get some much needed rainfall on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week. That is your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we've got a QR code. Love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Mr. Gino. He said Mr. Pizza, but I can't call you Mr. Pizza.
I get Gino's Pizza all the time.
He said, toss it to pizza. I'm going, okay.
Maybe one of these days I'll make a pizza. But until then, the Victoria West Warriors had a scrimmage against GP. So that's coming up after the break. At a Crossroads, an arena filled with thousands of fans, horses, bulls, steers, and goats is not where a cowboy or cowgirl is made. It's on the ranch, where the athletes work day and night to be at the best. The athletes of the week can now claim that she's a national champion. In a ranch out in Mission Valley, it's not always sunshines and rainbows. Cowgirl Amy Ort has been riding horses for as long as she can remember and has been competing in rodeos all around the United States since she was allowed to. Her most recent competition was in Guthrie, Oklahoma at the Cinch World Champion Junior Rodeo. The 18-year-old competed in pole bending, barrel racing, goat tying, and breakaway roping, and everything is timed, so Amy is fast.
I knew I had a pretty good shot coming in. I was leading the all around by like 10,000 points coming in, and I just knew I had to keep doing good to stay on top. And it worked out.
In the competition, the Futures Academy graduate won the title of all-around cowgirl, a $4,000 bonus, and thousands of dollars to go along with it. But this isn't her biggest score in a single competition. She once won a $25,000 award at a competition in Vegas. But the thing about being a cowgirl is the highs are highs, but the lows are low. Sometimes you can make a lot of money, other times you can leave with nothing, which is why she is dedicated to perfecting her craft.
Try rope every morning, ride my horses all the time, and just practice and keep them in good shape, and that's all you can do.
For now, she's going to attend Wharton Junior College, where she is going to be on the rodeo team and has a full ride scholarship to join the school. Ort wants to get her basics out of the way before potentially transferring and becoming a surgical tech. The longtime cowgirl is enjoying every moment because she never knows when it could be her last. Winning a world title and bringing home stacks of cash is the reason why Amy Ort is your athlete of the week. Onto the football field, the Victoria West Warriors took on Gregory Portland in its scrimmage tonight, and we have some highlights. The West offense got on the board first after a long run by QB Camden Repper, who was tackled just shy of the goal line. But a few plays later, they handed off to the running back Kamari Montgomery, who would power his way in for the first score of the day. The West Warriors will take on San Antonio Davenport next Friday for the first game of the season. Well, it was the final day of practice in Oxnard, California, and we hear from quarterback Dak Prescott in this Cowboys Daily.
After the final practice of training camp here in Oxnard, let's see how prepared Dak Prescott feels for the start of the season.
There's a lot of moments that, you know, I don't take anything for granted. I don't think I ever have, to be honest with you, but like the way that I feel now, I was talking to my PT Luke the other day of just like, man, there's moments of practice where I do this, where I do that, and I thank God, honestly, in that midst of just of my health and where I feel. And so, yeah, it's been great. It's been 4 years, I guess, if not more, since I've been able to take every snap from the walkthroughs to the training camp or to the practices. Yeah, and so, yeah, I'm just staying in the moment and just thankful for that, and going to continue to try to stay on this peak.
And don't forget to watch Cowboys Seahawks 9 p.m. Saturday on these stations.
Well, Don and Karina, here's my best pizza impression. Here, toss, back to y'all.
And that didn't cost him any dough.
Alrighty, guys. Well, stay with us. Coming up on 25 News now at 10. We'll take a last look at your weather. Plus, you've heard of Taco Tuesday, but what about Fajita Friday? We have that story straight ahead. New York restaurant has been getting some attention for a new sauce it debuted in honor of the Barbie movie. Gino's Cheesecake and Onion calls it, or cheesesteak rather, calls it Malibu Barbie Dream Drizzle. And it says it can be used on everything from cheesesteak to onion rings. After a post on social media, people started showing up from across the country. The not so secret recipe, well, it's homemade ranch with hints of garlic, chili, lemon, and savory herbs with the sweetness of dragon fruit to create that perfect pink color. But I'm going to stay away because it reminds me too much of Pepto-Bismol there.
You're
Look
right.
at that.
They should have called that the sauce the barbecue. Hey, if you've been wanting some sizzling hot Tex-Mex, tomorrow the perfect day to fulfill that craving. Tomorrow is National Fajita Day.
Yay.
Mexican cowboys in Texas created the delicious dish in the 1930s. After a day of hard work, they would make a meal with the so-called throwaway cuts of beef and a tortilla on campouts. A couple decades later, people started adding in cheese and vegetables to become the fajitas we love today. First concession stand for a fajita taco, Kyle, Texas, September 1969. First restaurant, 1971, Pharr, Texas. And they added the signature sizzling plate presentation of fajitas after being served queso flameado on a cast iron plate in Acapulco.
In Pharr, Texas.
In Pharr, in the valley.
My father-in-law worked at that restaurant.
Oh my gosh!
So he was there. He was
History
telling
was
us,
made.
we started that. No, we started that. No, we started that.
A small fajita world.
It's a small fajita world.
Sizzling news
but
there.
The sizzling platter, I say, was started at La Margarita in San Antonio.
Oh, really?
I thought it was in Nephas in Houston. Oh, well.
Well, that was the big argument.
Oh,
Nephas claimed
yes.
it.
Yeah.
Nephas claimed
Speaking
it.
of sizzling, let's talk about the weather.
Sizzling weather. We're all fajitas by now. 102 tomorrow, folks. It's still hot for the weekend, but keep your fingers crossed. Do the best you can to make it to the weekend because hopefully we'll get that much needed rainfall coming in on Tuesday, especially Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Alrighty, thank you, Max. Snoop Dogg has set his sights on grabbing a piece of the $13 billion ice cream business in the U.S. The rapper launched a new line of frozen dessert called Dr. Bombay after Snoop Dogg's NFT character. The line has 7 flavors, including a bonus track, brownie, iced out orange ice cream, and rolling in the dough, and another one called S'more Vibes. Alrighty, go Snoop Dogg.
Now it's ice cream?
It's ice cream. In this heat, we need it.
Yeah,
well, thank you for
absolutely.
joining us for 25 News Now at 10.
Join us for 25 News at sunrise, 5 a.m. Good night.